Oh, did you want to do the intro or do you want me to?
Go for
Okay, welcome back to the Evolution with Mac and Jen podcast. It's Jen and Mac here. We are so excited. And if you are watching this on video, you might notice that we have a new background.
it. Yeah, new logo.
Isn't it so cool? Mac kind of designed it, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know. A
Yeah,
little bit,
with
not a
the
lot.
help of a professional, kind of.
Yeah.
But it looks so much better than our other one. The other one was great, but this one's greater, don't you think?
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, cool. I just wanted to point that out because I think it's awesome.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna talk about we're just gonna have a conversation really and just include you in the conversation and talk about a few things from different perspectives and hopefully you can gain some insight on how things work and be able to use it to your advantage, right?
Sure. I'm excited.
So what was it that you were questioning about, or I'm trying to remember everything that we were talking about before we decided to just record it.
Okay, well, I was sick because we were talking like going over what do you want to talk about tonight? And we were like, I don't know,
Hmm.
right?
It's always a question, what should we talk about this time?
What should we talk about? That's why we love when you guys send us like questions.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hmm.
But so I was saying though that the other day when we were in the shower and I'm trying to remember like exactly what happened. So we were in the shower together because we like to shower together, which is really fun. If you don't do it, you should, right?
Yeah. It's definitely a little more of a isolated space that it's like your attention has to be there, because there's not a whole lot to take your attention away from each other
That's true. But
right
like,
present.
but our like we're just always so busy and we're doing so much stuff. And Mac is like always just go, 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 go. If you know Mac, he's always got things going on,
Mhm.
people calling him, people needing things, like all kinds of stuff. And so, anyways, we were in the shower and we started doing this a long time ago where we like kind of wash each other, which I love. You keep disappearing when you lean away. And so I was just like doing my thing, and Mac was like standing there, and he was just kind of holding the soaped up loofah, like waiting for me to step forward so he could wash me. And in that moment, I was just thinking about how lucky and how grateful I feel that you, Mac, are able to turn off like hustle mode and step into like husband family man mode so quickly, if that makes sense. Like you're able to turn off the hustle and be present with me
Most of the time.
most of the time. Yes, I mean sometimes when we're just like standing in the kitchen and you're on your phone or whatever, but it's like for like there's other moments too, like I mean in the shower, like in the shower. So but that's just that moment in the shower is when I was really thinking about how grateful I am that not only that you can do that, but that you take like that intentional time to connect and be present with me, not just when we're in the shower, but like I mean the fact that you decided to take Sundays like pretty much totally off
Hmm.
to spend time with our family and
Hmm.
be present. And like you're really, really good at that. And so I guess my question, what I was thinking this in the shower. I was like, we should talk about this on a podcast, like in some way, because I just feel like number one, I feel grateful because I don't remember having this in my first marriage. And I think a lot of couples are so busy that they just don't take the time or don't necessarily see the value or the importance in it. So I guess one of my questions for you is like why do you do it?
Okay, so this it's honestly a really great question because I've observed multiple people the last couple of weeks, be like in Facebook groups or individuals, conversations with friends, random people, like across the board. I'm noticing something that's very consistent that is not always said the same way, but it's kind of the same effect. And what it looks like is people do things for the other person without ever communicating it to the other person, and then resent the other person because they're not paying them back for doing it. Right. So, for example, if I was always doing everything for you, kind of like what you noticed me doing, and but I was doing it in a way where I was like, oh, let me do that for you, let me do that for you, but then I start to feel like you're not giving it back to me in the way that I think I should receive it, then I wouldn't do it.
Right.
I would just stop doing it because I like my expectation would not align with what I'm receiving because my communication is never going to be that good. Right.
Okay.
So the reason I say this is one, because I'm observing this crazy behavior by many people. And so it made me think about it. And it was like, why are these people asking, like, what are they going to get out of it? Because I've had women ask, I'm doing all this. Why can't he just do this? This is what I need. It's like, like, okay, it's good to know that you need certain things, but it's completely negative state. And I'm thinking of this, and I hear guys say the same thing, and a good friend of mine talking about it, like out of this, that, and it's just like, and it made me think about it and realize that, I don't, I do what I do simply because God put me here. I mean, I don't overthink it. It's that simple. God put me here. He made me capable. Why not? I need nothing. I don't really, I don't do anything to get something back. However, I do know that if I do things, that my life is easier, that my life is better. And so in a way, and I did mention this somewhere, was it in our, I think it was in our membership, how like I selfishly um, make sure that your energy is as full as I can do, with everything I'm doing, everything crazy. Like I selfishly try to pour into my wife. And somebody's going to be like, what do you mean you selfishly pour into your wife? Like, why would you do that? So in other words, I take the energy that I have and I try to make sure that she gets a good amount of it. Or, if something is a little off or she needs a little more of my energy, I make sure and give it to her because it rewards me. Now, this is something that I've learned, but in the beginning, it was simply I do what I do because God said so. That
Right.
that's it.
Uh-huh. So like for a lot of men, because like I would consider you like a powerful man, like a
Hmm.
producer.
Yeah.
And so but to take time away from like producing to invest into our relationship. Why do you like
Well, I mean, there's obviously lots of reasons to that. One of the easiest reasons is because you're a feminine woman, so it makes me want to, right? Like
mhm,
so it makes it very easy, and I want to. However, it's not something where she tells like you don't tell me I have to, or I don't feel the pressure like, oh, I'm supposed to, or whatever. I actually just want to, right?
mhm.
So there is that side.
Do you believe like sometimes I think that like it doesn't matter how much money you have or how business is going or like I feel like if you're not happy in your relationship then people like straight up aren't happy.
Yeah.
And so it's just really important to make intentional time to make put investments into your relationship, like deposits
Yeah, I mean, I don't work hard so that I can be miserable.
or a loan or
Yeah.
like we all like to have like you want to share your success with people.
Yeah, there's parts of it that's like growth based. There's parts of it that's that you don't want to be lonely. You want to be connected. And there's a lot of growth in being married because you basically take yourself that you can control and do whatever, and you say, okay, we're going to do this together, and you can't control the other person. And so it can be very challenging. However, the reward is that when you are like one, you're just way more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just it's significantly increased on your ability to do things. And I don't have to, I don't have to, go chase something or worry about problems. Like I mean, I've been in relationships where I had to worry and deal with the BS and craziness, and it's draining. It takes all your energy. So go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just going jumping all over the place. But one thing I noticed too is that like you went from like all hustle, 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 and then you started pulling your time and a little bit of your time and energy like out of your business and putting more into us. Like I said, like taking off Sundays, for example, or sometimes if you've been go 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 for a few days, like you'll take me to a movie or out to dinner, or like
Yeah.
you'll take but you take that intentional time, like you pull energy away from your business. And I feel like that what one thing that I've seen that you've done is like it's benefited our relationship because like we get to connect more,
Hmm.
but also too it's kind of caused you to be more proactive about delegating and like you hired a helper, you
Yeah.
hired
A VA.
a VA, you
Yep.
hired, can I say his name?
Mason.
Mason, you hired Mason, like, and you've got like, it's forcing you to like find solutions
Hmm.
to
Well,
like speak
so
on that.
there's there's a rule that is like pretty fundamentally easy. If you want your life to look like something, start making it look like something. It's pretty simple.
Hmm.
If if you want to be wealthy, start spending less than you earn and build the pattern and the habit. If you want to have an amazing relationship where you actually get to spend time with the person that is in your amazing relationship, then you take time now beforehand. Otherwise, you'll create something that doesn't give you the time to enjoy the amazing relationship. And so the more I look at things, yeah, I work hard, I do different things, and there's plenty of times when I'm like, I don't really like this. I like the paycheck, but I don't really like this. I want to change this. And so I have to start looking at it and saying, what do I like? Where do I pull back? What has to happen here? What do I do? And there's a kind of a conversation between myself and God that kind of happens. And a lot of times if I feel like God is giving me inspiration to do something, I'll often just do it. Like the Sunday thing, where it was just like I literally was one week I was telling someone like this is one of the only days I get uninterrupted to work. Every other day has something going on. It's interrupted. It's crazy. So Sunday was like a peaceful day where I could just work and get stuff done. But then I started going to church, consistently, and so there was that. But then I would just go work because it was just a peaceful, easy day. And somewhere in there, it was just like keep the Sabbath day holy was kind of the message, and I'd heard it over and over again, and I didn't know why. But then all of a sudden, I just felt it. So the kind of like you could say the spirit, whatever, but you just like I just felt something. It was like just do this, and I guess it was strong enough that I just said okay, done. I made the decision, and that was that done. Now I might send a message to somebody, but what I don't do is I don't go in my shop and actually do work. I might in my garage I might mess with my snowmobiles or do a little this or that, but my intention is to not go in to work, and almost immediately after doing that, I'm the type of person where I can't sit around. So it's like, what are we gonna do? And then we started doing stuff, and the doing stuff brought massive rewards inside our relationship. and we got to go experience a bunch of stuff. Whether it was just hiking out in the hills or driving over a mountain or whatever we're doing, or just sitting and watching movies. Like it didn't really matter. The rewards came. So I can't necessarily give one thing that says, why do I do this or do that? Because the reality is I do my best to do what God wants me to do, to be obedient to it. Um, every so often I'm quiet enough that I can hear it and then I follow it. But I, you know, what, 4 years ago was it? 4 years. I can't even remember now. Like time is like fast but slow. I don't know. We've just done so much. It seems like a lot longer, but I don't think it is. I think it's been 3 years, or yeah, about 3 years, I think,
Since when?
since I started like Warrior the
Oh,
stuff.
you were in Warrior before you met me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this process of personal development and leveling up and going, like doing the hard work and stuff, finally found the courage to really expose everything, to not care what other people think, even though you always care, but to not care, and then really kind of take a different look at what it's like to actually let God take care of things in your life and let go of them, even though the exposing the things that you hide from feels like it's going to destroy you. And just, nope, exposed, done. And just being free from that, letting go of other things. But in that process, a lot of things really stood out. One, my previous relationship ended. And at that point I said, oh, okay, God, like, just like you made Adam, then you made Eve, and Eve was part of Adam, right? Like, took his rib, made Eve. I don't know what all this means. However, if that's, to me, my brain says, if that's how it is, then where's my Eve? If you made me, where's my Eve? There has to be someone. And I didn't really care about the this or that, or like, you can have your own opinion. But this was mine. And I decided that was going to be my facts. That was going to be my absolute faith that God created the perfect person for me, and that's what I wanted. And so my absolute my absoluteness, if that's a word, in this feeling that I had internally. So there's the words that came out of my mouth, which my best explanation is I just want my Eve. That's what I want. But the feeling that I had going through this was, I can feel this person. I can feel a connection, and this is true. Whatever the words I say after that are kind of irrelevant, because I could feel it. And when you kind of understand a little bit about Jesus and a little bit about manifesting and a little bit about energy, the feeling is what you pay attention to. That is your internal guidance system that God gave us, that one, shows you where to go, and two, creates everything in your reality. So there's some nuances and this and that, but there's a feeling that when it comes in, I just know what it is and go. And and I do it with the type of faith that will make things happen often very quickly. You got to keep in mind that I was working my ass off to make my previous relationship better. So I was becoming the best version of myself, better than I'd ever been before. And things seemed to get better, and then they got worse, and they got better, and then they started to really digress and get really crazy. And so I put my faith in God and said, handle it. And she gone. It's like, okay. And as she took off, I asked some more questions, and it became extremely evident that it was like, yeah, just let this, like, this is what's supposed to happen. Let it go. Within like a couple days. And so I said, okay, well, I know what I want, or I can feel what I want. So I'm just going to keep going after that and trust that God is working in my favor. Absolute faith. And then I came up with I just want like as I'm doing what I tell my clients to do, writing stuff down, going through the list, do all the things I tell my clients to do. That's what I was doing. So as I'm going through that, that's when I came up with this. I just want my Eve. Like what better statement could I even come up with? Like that's as good as it gets. So there's that. Then there's the message that's in the Bible that says, even in the very beginning, God gave Adam dominion over the world to take care of things, to produce, to do everything, and then He gave him a wife to lead and do these different things. So it's like that's my job. Nowhere in there does it say that Eve has to do anything other than respect me. Like so that's the only thing I am like, you just if you just respect me, I'm good. Well, we can figure everything else out. If you disrespect me, it's gonna fall apart. Like that's just the reality. If I'm doing something disrespectable, then I'll just correct that. So you just gotta have enough respect to tell me and I'll fix it. But I never look at this as what will you do for me or what are you gonna do for me or any of these things that most of the world does where it's like most people, in fact, they don't have a marriage. They have a business license. That's what it is. Let's get together and we're going to, this license gives us the ability to be monogamous usually. So there's a sexual license to it. And then and then most of the guys are like, okay, well, you need to work or we have to do this or have to do that. And it's a freaking business. Like, and not only that, it's not even a good business. Most of them screw it up. Like if I own their business, I would fire both of them.
Mm.
Typically, when it comes to relationships. And I'm not saying I've done anything better. I'm just saying from where I'm at now and what I can see, most of the time, this is not a God founded type thing. Even though it might have happened in church or whatever. Where there are definitely some people that do pretty good. I'm not going to discredit everybody. um, I'm more speaking that even the people that are doing it well are still missing the point or they've shut down to the point where they're not connecting, like they don't know what to do.
And they're probably not having any sex.
Probably not.
No.
Because who wants
They
to have
just say
sex
it.
when you're, from a woman's standpoint, if you've lost respect for your man, you don't want to have sex with him.
No.
And most good women that don't want to cheat, they don't want to think about other men, but yet they have no respect for their man. What they will do is they will just get really busy
Right.
doing all the different things, or they will think about other men. Like some will. It just depends on their moral background usually. But
And the guys will get really busy too,
mhm.
doing work.
Yeah, and guys are way more likely to get into like porn and masturbation and just sedate through that.
I feel like you get what you put energy into,
Yeah.
and most people are disconnected, and so they put their energy and they're putting their energy though into things that are making them even more disconnected. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yep. That actually steals their energy. And honestly, most people just don't even know how to like what to do. And even sometimes as we're telling them what to do, they struggle with it because they don't see the reward. And the truth is you can't see the reward because you've never been there.
Well, because a lot of time what needs to be done, it's like it takes a lot of personal, like taking personal responsibility for what you've created,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
so like you don't see, you hear like it doesn't matter who we're talking to, if it's like the man or the woman, whoever. It's like if we're talking to the, let's just say a husband, like we'll be telling him, this is what you need to do, this you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. If we're talking to the wife, like it's the same thing but on
Yeah.
her end.
Yep.
And so all they're hearing is, well, I have to do all this stuff. What is my partner supposed to be doing? You know, if I'm putting in all this work, what are they gonna, how, you know,
Yeah.
what are they gonna do? But what happens is when you start putting in the work and the effort, that's when like the universe or people like people respond, right? Like the energy you give is the energy you get,
Yeah.
right? And they say, the experts say that relationships are a place you're supposed to go to give,
Your fulfillment would come from giving.
from giving, right? And so if you're, you know, giving with expectation, you're going
That's
to
not giving.
it's
That's
but
manipulation.
yeah, but if you're giving from a place of like, this is just who I am,
Mm.
then you know the universe rewards you, right? And so you know,
Most of the time. Yeah.
most of the time, most of all the time. So um but a lot of times it's about just first taking that like personal responsibility and knowing like I created the mess, and so I can use my energy to fix the mess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So there's, even if things are messy, I never blame anyone. I just make different choices. Right. Like that's, and that's something everyone should remember. If never blame someone else for your problems or your results, just make different choices. It's that simple. If you're saying anything as far as like this is happening because of someone else or da 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 whatever, no, it's not. It's happening because you're choosing it to happen. And I got in this little bit of a banter back and forth with this woman online, and she started talking about how her husband's a good guy, but then he's too harsh on the kid, and and she's feeling like her needs aren't being met, and da 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 da, all these different things. And from the moment she started, from the moment I started reading what she was writing, I like it triggered me. Now, when I say triggered, I don't mean that as in a negative way. What I mean is like the masculine side of me gets annoyed because the way she's behaving is not feminine. And so the response that is going to come out of that is a masculine versus masculine response, not a masculine leading a feminine response. And so I just said, well, then stop doing everything for him unless he asks you to. And she says, I don't. And right in her thing, she says, you know, all the things that I'm doing to hold up the, you know, like I'm just depleted with all my energy of like taking care of the kid and doing this and doing that and everything else. And then, you know, holding this together so that he can do whatever. And it's like, I'll bet he doesn't even know that she's doing that. Right. That
Mm-hmm.
she's got this story that says she has to hold it together in order for him to be okay. Right there in her freaking words, it says this stuff. And I just told her, stop doing things for him. And she's like, I don't. I'm like, and so I copied her words and pasted them again. And she's like, oh, so I'm just not supposed to take the kid to school or buy food or anything else. And so at this point, I just said, look, either you can keep your results or you can humble yourself enough to learn. And she just escalated from there. And I just kind of like was like, whatever, I'm done. Like you're you're not teachable at this point because the level what she's doing, she's manipulating the situation. She's being very masculine, trying to hold these different things and whatever. And yeah, he could change it. She could change it. It's either one of them could change a lot here. But what you can't do is come in complaining about someone else and then not at least be teachable to listen to somebody that has like that is has the results that you want, and you're going to argue. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Then why did I just bring it up? If you're not doing that, why do you think I just brought it up? Do you think do you think I can't read? You know, and so
I'm choking on this drink. It's like
mm,
stuck in my throat. Sorry.
it's water.
It's
Mm,
a really great drink.
mm. So the, but just kind of watching that also made me look at things as far as I don't, I don't feel like I deserve anything. Like I don't feel like because I show up this way that I deserve something. I look at how am I showing up and how can I show up better? All of my energy goes into how am I showing up and how can I show up better to be the best man, husband, father that I can be.
Well, the problem is with a lot of the people, especially like online, is that everybody's just a lot of people are just sharing because they're just seeking validation
Yeah.
in their misery. They want us to be like, "Oh yeah, girl, he is an asshole. You should break up with him."
Yeah. Instead they get me,
Right.
Mr. Direct. And honestly, I just want to help them.
Unless, but then some of us come in here like, no, actually, he's not an asshole.
Mhm.
He just does asshole things sometimes because, you know, I don't want to blame either. But the truth is that like nothing in life changes and until we change our lens on how we can see things.
Yeah. There
And
was
so if you're stuck in stories and you're stuck in blame, like nothing will ever change for you. If you're stuck in fear, nothing will ever change.
no.
But if you like true transformation and true change comes when you start cleaning your lens on how you view the world, how you view other people, how you see other people, how you're seeing yourself, and you start seeing things in a different light and start changing the stories that are stuck in your head, start changing the programming and the conditioning and all of that, and that's how true change happens. So as long as you're stuck in blame and stories, nothing will ever change. But this is why, like, I mean, I can shift people who are wanting to change on literally one call because I just start showing them new ideas, new perspective like they've never heard before because my perspective comes from love, where the perspective from people you're going to get online comes from fear.
Mhm.
And so you have fearful people giving their opinions and their validation to
Oh, there
you.
was some of that validation happening too, and I called out that person. That didn't go over so well.
Yes, where I've, you know, trained myself to view the world through a lens of love. Same with people, which is not stories and judgment and like that, which is why I can shift people. And, Mac will call it truth,
Mhm.
right? I call it love, you
Mhm.
know, which is a little bit more gentle sometimes.
Yeah,
It's still the truth, but it comes from a place of like,
my version of love is direct,
some
the truth, and people don't like it.
people like it because we need it sometimes. We need that, like, that certainty, that certain truth. You know, I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a small percentage of people that understand it, and there was another one where this lady said, well, she was talking all about her man's trauma, and I'm like, I don't know how you can respect this man when you speak of him this way. Like, it sounds like he's a wounded child, and you're taking care of him. And
Mm.
there was one part where I told her very directly. I said, or she said, how do I, like, well, I try to tell him this without getting him too upset and hurting his feelings. And I copied and pasted that, and I said, this right here is where you really screwed yourself, because you need to hurt him. Like, he needs to feel everything you're feeling, and if he is not feeling everything you're feeling, it means you're not showing him the truth. So it's technically a lie, which traps you in your masculine because you're manipulating the situation and you're robbing him of his masculine energy and power by that will come out of the pain that he will feel once he knows the truth.
Yes.
And so one other woman, not her, she never responded again after that. Surprise, surprise. But another lady just basically said, that's a harsh truth that I needed to hear
Yeah.
because a lot of women do it. A lot of
Yes.
women will tell stories about how, well, he works so hard. I don't want to bother him with blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I understand the thinking, but most of the time, like 80, probably 80 plus percent of the time, the women are just too scared to talk about their own feelings and they suck at communicating it. So then they usually trigger him and, because it's messy thing.
Well, yeah, and men can they can get really triggered too if you try to communicate your feelings during a time that's just not good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to you want to communicate, but you want to make sure you're being respectful of doing it at like the right time.
And you don't communicate in a way that is pointing the finger at him, and you take responsibility of your emotions, your feelings, and trust that it's going to work out. But that's, honestly, that's where we support people, where we can say, this is a this is a better way to say what you need to say. What are you feeling? What's this? This is how you want to say it. This is the responsibility you need to take in it. Da da da. And then typically, if they do what we say, they wind up experiencing something beautiful. When they take what we say, decide to throw that out the window, and they basically, throw out the recipe that works, that produces good cake, and then they, you know, throw something that we didn't say in the middle of it, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. Well, that's because we understand what love is. We understand how to separate the triggers and the emotion, the negative emotions out. And it doesn't mean we're perfect at it. Like, I'm not always perfect at it. There's sometimes you say things where I'm like, what? Like, let me gear this down a few gears and get it. Okay, what are you asking me? What's it? And then I got to kind of like get out of whatever because the communication is breaking down.
Mhm.
But we're still pretty good at, even if there's a little bit of a in, intensity behind a trigger or something, that being able to investigate it, figure it out, and move through it.
Because there's not a lot of stories that go on in our heads anymore,
And,
right?
and we both take responsibility for what we're doing.
Yeah, because let's just say most people are creating stories in their head that's creating their realities.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are reacting to their own to stories they've created.
Yeah.
And if you're really conscious of it, you notice it. And the more conscious you get, and the more you notice, the more you can start to like control it and stop reacting to those stories. And so, yeah, like I'll create a story every once in a while, but when I bring it up or react to it, a lot of times it's more jokingly a little bit. I'll be a little like,
Depends on, like, there's there's some times when I'll feel your energy go up, like out the window, like not good. And
yeah, but I
and
know
I
what's
and I
happening.
call it out, and then it's, the words coming out of your mouth is different from the conversation happening in your head, and you're a little more belligerent with it in a sense, like you're kind of a little more like, I don't want to talk to you,
Yeah,
like I'm angry.
yeah, I'm angry, and I just want to be angry
Yeah.
right now. Like, let me just be angry,
Yeah. And
which is totally fine. But that doesn't mean that I don't love you.
no, I don't worry about
That
whether or
just
not
means I
I'm
want to
loved.
be stuck in my shit for a minute. Like, thank
Yeah. Yeah.
you.
Which is, yeah, but it is challenging, because I'm trying to keep it together, and then the edginess feels like disrespect, and that gets me like, I don't like this. Like, do I need to solve this right now? Do I need to let it go? And so I have to go into a different mode to not get triggered. Um, it doesn't happen much, if, like, once a month, like something might come up that's a little bit like, we probably work through this.
Yeah, once a month,
Mm.
once or twice a month. It usually happens like within the same week.
Yeah. But, you know, it can, I think a lot of times just under, being able to think things through, consider it, continue to just show up the way I always show up, and it usually resolves itself within a couple hours, type of thing. It may not quite look like it, but it does.
Let's go back to talking about the loofah in the shower.
Which part?
I don't know, just the part of
The switching energy part,
tell me about switching energy.
like shifting or being present.
Yeah. I just want to talk about loofahs in the shower.
If-
Mhm.
Well, what's part of it?
Um,
Like, what do you want me to talk about?
mm, all right, talk to me about shifting the energy.
That's what you want to talk about?
Sure.
Is how I go from doing all this other stuff to then being present with the shower or whatever, or
Yeah.
is that what you're wondering?
Yeah.
Um, so I mentioned I do it because I was built this way. I do it because God said to. I do it because it feels good to me. I do it because I feel like I genuinely feel like God gave me the greatest gift I could ever have.
Hmm.
And so to make sure that I take the time to recognize that gift is very important. It just so happens to be my wife. So it's not like I'm just recognizing it to God as an, oh, I'm grateful for my wife. No, it's like to show gratitude is to make sure that I lead and take care of and meet your needs and all those things. That's how I show God gratitude, to make sure that I'm doing with my myself, my wife, my family, everything to the best of my ability, that I'm doing with what I should.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely some other things that help, like the training that I do. You know, like I have coaches, I have training that I go through that are help me that remind me, listening to books, reading books, audios, whatever, help remind me how to show up. Sometimes the idiocy of what other people do reminds me that I don't want to be them. And I do, you know, and I make sure I put effort in where it counts in my relationship. Um, but I think one of the things that is kind of a standout, and I've been on the other side of this. I've been on the side where I didn't want to do it because I wasn't getting anything in return. Um, I I can fundamentally I can't live that way, so I always wind up giving. But I did at one point in past relationships wind up resenting. So I have to do it now in a way that I can never resent, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing it because I want to do it. It's good. Like in general, like if you looked at food and said it's good, that's that's how I look at. Do I want to do this? Is it good? It's good, so I do it. I don't seek anything from from like return
Also,
in a
yeah.
way.
So you make sure you it feels good to do it,
Mhm.
but then also you make sure that if you do need something from me, that you communicate those needs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I want something, I ask for it.
yeah, yeah, because that's when I feel like if you're doing, even though it feels good to do, it feels good to do. Sometimes if you overdo too much,
Mhm.
and you're you do start to, I think it's human nature a little bit to stack a little bit or to keep a little checklist or scoreboard,
Well, and
if you're over giving. So it's you that I think one of the things that causes anger and resentment is not communicating needs as they come up. So like, yes, of course,
yeah,
give without expectation, but also communicate when you do need something, which I think you do.
yeah.
I'm
There's
always trying to ask you though too, like, what can I
Yeah,
do for you? What do you need?
you do a really good job. So it's a lot easier on me to like not have to worry about stuff. You're always asking, would you like me to do this? Would you like me to do that? And which is what I want, because I don't want you doing anything for me without me knowing that you're doing it. Because one, if I say yes to what you're providing me, whether it's food or taking care of me or all the things you do, when you ask me, would you like me to do this? And I have to say yes, I'm now in agreement with the energy that you're going to put out.
Mm-hmm.
And that silent agreement for me will be matched by my output.
Mm.
Right. So it's not, you're not doing something to get, you're actually doing it to give and to take care of, right? Because it's just in your nature
Mm-hmm.
to do that. Like all women have the nature to take care. Some may not think they do, but they do. It just might be buried somewhere in there, but because it's biological. But if you just continue to take care, this is what most women do. They just try to take care, and when it's not getting done, then they take control, then they become masculine, and they do this, and then they're resenting everyone
Mm-hmm.
because they feel unfulfilled, they feel unseen, unheard, all this stuff. For me, on the other hand, when I say this is what I'd like from you, the agreement is made, and therefore I will be putting energy in, or I will be looking, or whatever. Now, let's talk about a different situation because every guy I know is going to bring this up. If I were to say this is what you need to do, and that is, if I start telling men this is how you're supposed to show up, God said so, you better do it, then eventually they're going to just get angry and resentful for everything they're doing because they're not getting what they're expecting from their wife, like the respect, being revered, the different things. Because one, their wives haven't been led or trained to do any of that. They don't know or whatever. And if, let's just say, for some reason I'm doing what I need to, I'm providing, I'm making sure your needs are met, I'm doing all these different things, and you decide to disrespect me, getting your masculine, compete with me, do any of the things that don't work, I'm not going to look at you and be like, you better quit doing this or else, right? that that would be very ignorant of me to do. What I would look at is I would have to ask myself the question, where am I not leading? Because there's no way that your behavior is going to go there unless I am not leading and it wanders there,
Right.
right? So anytime anything happens, even once a month when things are crazy or whatever, even when that happens, I'm still asking myself, is there something I need to be aware of to deal with this different, to deal with this better, to and no, I'm not going to be able to predict every little thing, but what I do know is the better I manage my business, the better I manage my household, the more I can fill up my wife, my kids, my family. And the more organized I am in all things that I do, the better my body functions, the more energy I have. So the better I get at all these different things, including taking time, pushing away the shop or the business or this business or that, or the noise or the distractions or the Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is that's going to try to distract me, the better I am at putting that away to put focus and attention here, the easier it's going to be. Right. Like that's the call, like to lead. This is like the beginning of the Bible. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like God told Adam, do this. And I reap all the rewards when I do it.
Mm-hmm.
So why why not? And to the guys that are like, well, she's not doing this. Like I did all this stuff and she's da 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 da. And I'm like, excuse me, you have the power to lead her where she needs to go. And I more and more the more I learn about this stuff, the less I believe that anyone is truly messed up in such a way that they can't be a good person. I believe all people are good. Yes, some people are so disconnected they may be beyond repair, like psychopaths, killers, things like that. But this whole, like when people say narcissist, and then I'll even say there's a lot of behaviors that match my ex. Okay, like I've said that, but when I look at things, I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't showing up the way I show up now. So had I, things might be a lot different. That's my responsibility to take. And so when someone is complaining to me about their relationship, whether it's a woman or a man, I don't care about the other person. I care about how they're showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because when as a human being, when you show up in a certain way, people respond to you in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So if as a man, if I show up well, and yes, I like to argue, so I understand when people get triggered and do this and do that. Like it is what it is. Like I'm not gonna hate on anyone. um, but if I truly want to engage or give someone freedom or anything else, it's just the way I show up. If I show up the right way, they're going to show up back to me in the right way. If a woman shows up in the right way, a man will show up in the right way. It it, it it'll blow your mind. You could take an angry, pissed off guy and bring in a vulnerable, feminine woman, and he will go from rough and tough and loud and noisy to teddy bear holding a baby, right? When the right thing is presented, like that fast, if it's right. Now, if there's history, it may not be instant, but the fact is you can still do it.
They said, I think it was, I can't remember if it was like Lee Harvey Oswald or something like that. He was the guy who tried to shoot John F. Kennedy or shot John F. Kennedy. Maybe you don't know, but he got arrested for shooting a president. This guy got arrested for shooting a president, and he wrote in his journal in prison that his first attempt to shoot the president, he was somewhere and he was about to pull his gun out of his jacket to shoot the president, and an old lady rubbed up against his arm and like accidentally bumped into him, and this old lady was just like so sweet and cute and nice to him, and her energy, he wrote in his journal that it like because of her he didn't shoot the president that day because he didn't want to shoot the president in front of her.
Yeah.
So her energy literally stopped a killer.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
how
That's
powerful
yeah.
it can be.
Yeah. So if a woman comes in our circle complaining about what an asshole the guy is, typically I said, well, what are you doing? Like, we don't need to focus on him. We need to focus on you, because if you show up the right way, it will force out of him the good things, and he will begin to reposition his role. Vice versa. As a man, if you start showing up in a healthy way, she gets the opportunity to go into her feminine, and it just begins to work. Um, but there is no, honestly, there I can't say this is why I do this specifically. One thing, this is why I do this. I do what I do for multiple reasons, like lots of experience, lots of past failures and fuck ups. Um, some things that I do because I'm like, well, God said so.
And I
Um,
think sometimes after you like get it wrong, you want to get it right.
well, I've been trying to get it right my whole life, and hopefully I'm on the upper side of right at
Mhm.
this point, which I feel like I am.
Because I think we're both very committed to getting it right
Yeah. And
and having fun.
not quitting, and growth, and truly, and there's just an honest component that comes with the whole thing. So I don't I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know that I've never been happier. And I never feel like you own me, right? Like,
Mhm.
never. And in fact, there's been even discussions within the last month or two where you were feeling like you needed to give back for everything I did, like needed to pull your weight or that type of,
More,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, why? Like, that would, Like I'm over here crushing it. What I want is for the win to take place, right? Like the win is the fact that you don't have to do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of a sudden you start jumping in to help me, what's that say about me? That's very emasculating,
Mm-hmm.
right? So kind of pointing some of that out, and then also kind of saying like, no, what I want you to like, I want you to do this, I want you to do these things, and then there was the conversation about if I'm bitching about something, like complaining, blah, 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 being like, guys will do this type of stuff. It means nothing to us, but it means a lot to women. And so I had to explain like, no, no, what I'm doing is I'm bragging about how hard I worked so that you can like give
Mm-hmm.
me a pat on the back, right? Like
That was a real big like perspective
shift.
shift. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while to figure it out,
Uh-huh.
right? Because you were in this struggle and we talked about it and it wasn't making sense. And then finally I slowed down enough and I was like, wait, so this is happening. You're over here. So you're hearing me complain and you're taking on the weight of my complaint saying I need to do more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, you don't need to do more. And I was like, wait a minute. This is what you need to know, that I don't have a lot to talk about because I work all day. Right. So I might bitch about something, but it's a little bit of me gaining some significance and saying, look at me, look how hard I worked.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have nothing else to talk about in in some ways.
So it's not actually a complaint, it's a brag.
Yeah, and that's what
I'm
we're gonna
like,
call it because the perspective that you see it from under like that, it works.
mm-hmm.
It works for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I get to go be a badass doing my thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to be like, yes, you are, and I get to and I get to do whatever I want all day.
Mm-hmm.
Learn and study and teach people and share with people and help women succeed and have fun,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just know that I appreciate you being a badass, and I appreciate you taking the time to be present with me, and I do see you, and I am
Likewise.
grateful.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank
Well,
you.
I'm extremely grateful that you stay plugged in,
Mm-hmm.
right, to the work, and you do a very good job of, um, I don't know, like even just what you just did, saying thank you
Mm-hmm.
for the work that I do and just appreciating it, and also like stepping into letting it in, right? Like receiving my hard work,
Mm-hmm.
because that, like, when if if I work this hard and if you kind of feel uncomfortable receiving it, I don't work as hard because like why would I?
Mm-hmm.
But the more you receive it, the more I want to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
the harder I'll work. And so it really fuels me in this crazy, energetic, biological, chemical way, and
Mm-hmm.
I get to enjoy it. So
All right, should we wrap this
yeah,
up?
all the rules that you think are out there in relationships, throw them out the fucking window. That's where you need to start. Like if if you think that or have an idea of what this or that is or anything, you really just got to take it and throw it in the trash can and look at things like this. Who knows, like who has been in your situation right now and like some point in their life and now has what you want? If you can't name someone, then you should not be listening to anyone and you should just throw in the trash everything you know about a relationship and get really humble, right? Like I don't know what I don't know. God show me. Like I don't. I'm open. I'm trying to be more open. I'm being driven crazy over here. I'm dealing with this or I'm struggling here or I've got trauma. That it doesn't matter, but I have to ditch all this chaos that's been in my head and give it somewhere else to something greater, to God, and let it roll out
Mm-hmm.
and play its part. But this egotistical, prideful, strategic, manipulative bullshit that's in the world doesn't work.
Hmm.
I proved it for 40 years. You proved it for how many? 35 ish.
Ish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doesn't work. And it's all wrong. It's all BS. Like it's just going to lead you into more pain. And so whatever it is, but this is why the people that show up, right, that come into the circle, come into the group, one-on-one coaching, whatever it is, they begin to win. It's not always wins because they're learning, so they get to fuck it up, figure it out, and
Well, it is always wins
there's
because
always
even
wins,
if it feels bad, I'll just
but there's struggles, there's
if
challenges.
even if there's the struggles and challenges can be looked at too as wins because
Yeah.
when you decide that you want something like truly, then the universe has to make moves to rearrange things for you to get to
Mhm.
what you want, even if that means you need to learn a few lessons to get there. So, the struggles may feel bad or hard or like lessons, but it's all what's needed because the universe is just realigning for you. So it's all wins, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Just saying.
Yep.
So
And I think it is super important that you have consistent contact with someone that is one asking you the kind of questions that you need to be asking yourself to investigate to figure out what's better, to break down the walls of the world, the stories of your mind. Someone that does that for you, that actually has the results that you're looking for. That because no one, if someone doesn't have those results, they're not going to help you get the results. They can't. It's impossible to even conceive them doing that.
which is exactly like what I did was I decided what I wanted and then I found people who had what I wanted and it started modeling
Mm,
their behaviors.
yep. And same for me. I've got a group of guys and some, a bunch of guy coaches that help me through different things. And I learn. I listen. I read. I'm always trying to be the better student than anybody else. Even through yeah,
And it's also about it, like not just learning, but like truly embodying what you're learning.
yeah. Put it into action.
And I think that's a lot of what we help with inside of our group when we do, especially like the energy clearing
Mhm.
and the rewiring and reconditioning and
A
um,
little bit of challenge, little action,
yeah,
not all
yeah.
that stuff.
You start embodying everything you're learning because like some people who've come into our group, they've heard some of the stuff that we teach before, but it never truly clicked. And now things are really starting to click, not only because they're hearing things in a different way, but also truly starting to embody
Yeah.
what they're learning.
And then you get a few people that come in, they get some results, they think they're happy, and then they ditch and they take off, and we never see them again. And then there's some people that get really good results, and then they kind of disappear, and then they come running back. It's not working. It's like,
Mhm.
well, you're not working. Like, this isn't something that from like even like look at us. Let us just be the example. We're most likely in some kind of study daily, if not like in the grind of working with people daily, right? So our books, audios. I'm on a call twice a week with coaches, if not more, sometimes 4 times a week. And so I'm constantly looking to elevate. So if you're not doing something that's helping you elevate or at least influencing you to maintain the goodness that you've brought into your life through good work, then where do you think you're going to wind up? Because without good work influencing you to stay good, you will be like you'll disconnect and you'll be influenced by the world. And when you're influenced by the world, you go back to that shitty place of the relationships not working, usually your body not working, your business not working, like everything begins to break down because you have no good influence, no good questions, no community, no like-minded people that actually want these great things. A lot of everybody wants to talk about a great relationship, but there are people like the people that come into our membership, the people that we one-on-one coach with, that are committed to the growth. that say, I'm going to figure this out one way or another. And they begin working on themselves until they get it. So if you've been gone and you're kind of around, get in. Like get in wherever you can. Because this is where the movement really happens. Last Thursday call was amazing because the winds were just categorically
Mm.
like it was amazing. It was incredible. And that's what we do. But those wins are there because those are the people that are showing up week after week after week. So and not every week, they miss a little bit here and there, but those wins are coming because they're present. That's
Yes, and they're
such a big
committed,
thing.
and
Yeah.
you get what you put energy into.
Yeah.
So if you're putting energy into disconnect, you get more disconnect. If you put energy into you and your growth and your relationship, you get that. So
Yep. So, but I understand both sides. The
it's just a
get
choice,
busy.
and sometimes we don't, make the decision until the pain of where we're at gets big enough.
Yep. But we're just
That's a whole nother podcast.
yeah, we're doing it from love. I am direct. I like to come in swinging and just make the changes quick and get the results even faster if I can. But I do want everybody to know that I do this with love. Like if even if a client were to hate me on the way out the door and try to do like just try to be a total jerk or whatever, and 2 years later they're like, "Hey, I need your help." I wouldn't think twice. I would just and it unless there was like some crazy need for an apology, I might need them to just make sure like, hey, are you good? Because I'm not going to work with you if you're still tied up in your mess. But if they came back just humble and said, I need your help, and I can tell that they're humble, I'm not going to think twice about it. I'm just going to help them. Like, let's go. Because that's how much I love people. I don't show love, right? My love comes through my effort and my just absolute committed this is a kind of a weird word, but committedness. I'm going to say that. That I just go. We can have chaos. Uh, Things fall apart, blow up, everything, and just like that, I can shift back into things and go. Like, okay, you ready? Let's go. Like, like all that past stuff. We don't need to talk about it because it's just distracting from where we want to go. I just want the result. I just want to help. I just want to serve. Let's just do that.
Hmm.
Like it's just easier. I don't need to hold whatever. So please understand that even in my directness, I am extremely understanding. I see things from many angles. I understand why people are where they're at. One, because I've been that person that's all over the place and done crazy shit. But two, it's just in my heart to help. But I do like to help fast. So it comes out direct. Sometimes it feels like I'm an asshole. I'm not.
No, no.
But so just make the choice of saying, well, what do I desire? Do I want a better relationship? Do I want a better body? Do I want more money? What do I actually desire? And once you attach to that desire, then you got to ask the question, okay, well, what are you willing to do about it? Are you willing to show up?
Awesome.
That's the question. Are you willing to show up?
All right, let's end it there.
All right.
Thank you for listening or watching, everybody, and we will talk to you later, right?
Yep.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.